Hey, what's up? Nasir Malik here. Welcome to the first Selenium and Python automation framework tutorial. I'll be doing tutorials on Selenium, UFT, LoadRunner, JMeter, covering automation functional and performance testing strategies. Based on the feedback, I'll cover different aspects of automation tools and processes. I will keep things very simple so it is easy for beginners to follow along. In this series of tutorials, we will learn how to set up an automation framework from a scratch, how to extend it to perform native OS and web API functionality which is not part of the core Selenium implementation. This series of tutorial will take you through the step-by-step process on how to set up automation framework. So let's discuss some of the series highlights. It will cover how to start automation framework from scratch, setting up tools and utilities, install and configure tools, framework structure and thought process, customize with Python, web API, and DLLs to extend functionality, explore other alternatives for test data repositories, simplify test data management with JSON, develop execution logging HTML live view reports. I call them HTML snapshot. They're not images, they're different than taking image snapshots. Develop reusable test validation with baseline. Continuous integration with test status, email, and notification. And maybe we'll set up Jenkins and how to incorporate it into it. So this is some of the highlights we'll be discussing. So let's get into the first tutorial. So in this first tutorial, we'll be doing download and install Python, and I will include the links in down below the video. So we will just go ahead and download this Python version and install it. The next thing you'll be doing is downloading and installing PyCharm. I choose PyCharm because it's very easy, lean Python IDE development tool, and it is much easier when you're doing training. It's much easier to learn and not a lot of ramp up time and stuff. It's very simple. And the nice thing about it is there has nice features in there where you can install packages and update and all that stuff. So you don't have to manually go and do it on a command line or something like that. It's all through the UI. It's pretty nice. So I will be using PyCharm for this demo. So you can go to the following jetbrains.com PyCharm. They have multiple versions for different OSs, Windows, Mac, Linux. I'm gonna pick Windows because I'm gonna be doing this tutorial on Windows. Community version is free. You want to download that, and there are minor differences between professional and community. So download this and install it. So once you finish installing PyCharm, we'll create a new project in PyCharm. And once you launch your PyCharm, so you'll see this this window. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and create a new project. So it'll be a pure Python project. So before we go ahead and do that, let me explain that before you do actually go ahead and create this project, you would need to go ahead and create a virtual Python environment. So once you install the Python in your system, whatever that is, it will show up in here. So my Python installation, the plain installation is Python 3.4.4 is right on the C drive. I installed it in this location. Wherever you guys install it, make sure you select that location. So this is your base installation of your Python. So every time you create a virtual environment for a new project, you would select this, and it, based on that, you create your virtual environment. So we create a virtual environment to isolate the specific requirements and packages for that project that we're going to be working on it. And we'll click here on this cog and we'll say create virtual environment. So we haven't created a project yet, so we're just going to go ahead and create a virtual, and you will select on this, you will come and make sure your local installation of your base Python exe, you select that, and from there you select the location of where you want project to be created. So in this case, I'm going to go and create it on one of my automation directories. Go drill down where I want to create this project. So this tutorial, I'm going to go and under, I guess I would do it, it doesn't matter. So here, so this is my path where I want to create my virtual environment. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, I'm gonna just call create a project folder. I will just type it in here, mo. And then for virtual environment, I'll say inside the demo project folder, I want to create an environment. So I will say just demo-env. So basically, it will create the demo folder for the project, and then it will create a virtual environment called the demo-env, where we'll install the Python virtual environment. So I'm going to change this also to here. So just make sure, keep an eye on here, because I just typed in the whole path in here manually, because you could actually go and create a folder manually and then go ahead and select it here, but I just typed it in here. It's quicker. So make sure that these two match, and then I would say okay. So when I do that, it's actually going ahead and creating a virtual environment for me. We don't have a project yet, so if I can show you. So it just created this demo folder here, and then it created virtual environment in here. So this is our project folder. So now I'm gonna go ahead and tell it to create my project, and I would make sure to go and point to this folder right here. If I can go back one, demo folder. So we need to make sure we point to this. So I can just copy this and I can paste it, or I can manually drill down to it. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it, and I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and create a project in here for me. I already created the virtual environment, and you can see that it's already selected. So I'm going to say, go ahead and create it, and it'll ask me that, it's empty. So I'll just say, go ahead, create it. And now it's creating the project for me. So when the IDE opens up, you're going to see structure something like this. This is all the external, your virtual environment packages, and all that information is in here. But this is our project, as you can see, the path, and then this is actual virtual environment, which is inside the project folder. And then from here, I'm gonna go ahead and create another directory, source directory. I mean, you can create what you name it, whatever you want. And I'll do is next, I'll right click on the directory that I just created, src, and I'll say mark this as a source directory. So next we're going to do is install Selenium Python package that will help us to create and execute test cases against Selenium. So we'll do that by going into the PyCharm IDE. So we just created the project, and we created a virtual environment, and our source directory is empty. We haven't created anything yet, just a directory structure. We'll go to File, Settings, and you'll look for the setting is here is your project and then the project name. So whatever name you give it to your project, it will show up here. So you select that, and then you say project interpreter. You go in here, and you'll see by default there's a couple of packages installed that when you create a virtual environment, they get it automatically installed. So we're gonna go ahead and click on this green plus sign, and we're gonna type in Selenium. When you select Selenium, usually, I mean, if it is the latest version you want, you would go ahead and do that. You just don't have to do anything. Select and click install package. But in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and install 2.53.6 because I know the thing we're going to do, I already know they work with this version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and select that version, and I'm going to go ahead and install. So you'll see on the bottom, it's doing something, it's installing packages. If packages installed successful, you see this green bar in here, say package installed successful. You can close that. You can see it already here. Selenium is installed. What version is it? And this is the latest version that is available. But we're going to be working with the 2.5. So once we're done, so now the IDE is set up, Python virtual environment is set up, and we have the Selenium package installed for the Python that would allow us to work with Selenium. So the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and create a very basic Python file. I will call it a test1, and I'm going to go ahead and create this file. So from here on, basically, we can just start typing in and import our Selenium package. So we can type from. So as you can see, the IntelliSense help helps you with the available packages or installed packages. You can just select them. So we're gonna select from Selenium. We're gonna import WebDriver. So this will be like basically an import, so we can work with it. So the next we're gonna do is we're gonna create a driver object. So we'll type driver, which is just a plain variable. So we'll say WebDriver dot. So you have different options here. We're gonna go ahead and select Firefox here. And next we're going to do is so driver object is initialized. We're gonna say, okay, we want you to navigate to some URL. So we'll just use basic simple Google URL. So basically what it's saying is import the Selenium package that we just installed. And you can actually go and see it here. I mean, if you go in here, external libraries, side packages, under there you'll see, and then Selenium is installed here. So we're saying the package we just installed, we want you to import that package with WebDriver. And then we're initializing in a variable. So we're saying initialize the WebDriver with Firefox, and it creates a driver object. You can name whatever you want this variable or object. And then from there we're just saying, okay, we want you to navigate to this browser, basically driver.get, and then whatever URL you put it in, it will navigate to that. So if I just run it, I can just right click in here and I can say run, and it will just run. It's just a simple script. It's not a unit test or anything right now. It's nothing. So you'll see it'll go up and it'll launch the browser and it'll go to this point. So now I want to be able to search something in here. So I want to type it into this field, and I hit search. So I can, there are multiple tools out there. I'll cover in the next few tutorials how to get the HTML attributes different way, how to build XPath and all that stuff. But right now for this tutorial, that's all I'm going to cover. So we can go in here. We can, this is inspect on this text box. So I can use one of the attributes here. So I can use one of the attributes here. So I'm going to go ahead and use name. It's just a Q. Name is Q right here if you see it. So I'm going to use this attribute to find this element and type in the value. So how do I do that? So basically you go in here, you say, so the browser is already launched. So this command launches the browser. So then you say driver.find element, and you have different options here. Find by ID, find by class, and we need find by name. So this is the method we need. So I'm going to say by name, and the name value is Q. Look for in the browser for this element by where name equals Q. So that's basically what it's doing. So now it will find it. It'll find it with this. So now I need to specify what action I want to do on that with that element. So I'll say dot send keys. Basically you're asking it to type something in there. So I'll ask it to type testing. So the next thing So let's run this and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and close the browser. I'm going to run it. And you don't have to come and right click every time and run from here. Once you do that, debug or run, you can then, it's already selected, in here in this drop down list box, and you can just click this play button right here and it'll run the same configuration. So it's launched again, and this time you'll see it typed it in and it stopped there because that's what we are asking it to do. So launch the browser, Firefox, navigate to this URL, look for an element, a text box by name, Q, and then type in software testing in there. So next we wanted to click this search button. So we'll could do inspect element, and we can take a look at what we can use whatever attributes we want. So I'm going to go ahead and use name since I know it works. So now we'll do another command. Driver dot find element. Let's do it by name, okay, this time. So we'll change it. So we're gonna go ahead, make sure we'll find this element by name, and we'll say okay. Once you find it, you click on it. So let's run it and see what happens. Browser is launched. Just gonna type in testing, clicked, and you see the result. So this is a very simple tutorial. This is one of the first tutorials. So we're gonna build on top of that. Not just using the name method, you can use the ID. If I go ahead and change this to, let's say, instead of using the name, which we used, we can use ID. So I can copy paste the ID in there, close the browser, paste the ID, and change this to ID available method, and it will still work. So there are different methods available to recognize web elements. We'll get into XPath in the next few tutorials, but for this tutorial, that's all I'm going to be doing. So let's run it. Launch the browser, typed it in, and it searched, and it works. So this is it for this tutorial. Next tutorials, we're gonna start building on top of this. We're gonna come up with a directory structure, naming conventions. We're gonna talk about how to store data, what options do we have, and how to create a framework that makes it easier for people to call simple classes and and automatically look up the data and have a baseline data set for each test case, and how to override the data we want to change. So we'll go on through a lot of that stuff. That is it for this first tutorial. I would appreciate your feedback and any comments you have, and that will help me to customize the next tutorials and see what people want. So till next time, bye.